G'day and welcome everybody, Duckville here, back from the dead. It has been quite a while since I've done some YouTube casting. There's been a few things going on, of course. There is this particular thing called the Heart of the Swarm beta, which we're actually going to have a look at today, which has been just a lot of fun to play. I hope that everyone can get a key and join in the fun there with, or perhaps maybe not some of the Terrans. They've been a bit upset about the changes with the removal of the Warhound and etc. But yeah, it has been quite a while, so I do apologise for that. It has been so long that I can't even remember the last time I did a cast and who it was of and that kind of thing. But today we're going to make up for that with some very cool Heart of the Swarm replays. Are going to be featuring two very, very competent players, and of course I'm assuming that everyone will have seen quite a lot of our blue Protoss up at the top right hand side of Frigid Pass, I believe the map is called. I can't remember exactly. But this is WhiteRa. He is going to be starting up here. Looks as if he is going to do a fast expand. Protoss in Heart of the Swarm, it's become a lot easier to do your fast expands. There's just I think it's a combination of the fact that lately people have been doing a lot more sort of fast expand styles with a gateway and gas and sort of moving into warp gate a lot quicker. But also in this, of course, there is the mothership core, which we'll get to very soon and have a look at how that works. But starting off, his opponent in the red down the bottom left-hand side, as our Zerg player is Liquid Sheth. Of course, you would have seen him playing in some of the he's done some show matches in Heart of the Swarm, and of course there was the Team Liquid Heart of the Swarm show. I can't remember the exact name of it, but you can catch it on teamliquid.net. There is a show where they were having a look at just some of the units, and I believe they had Liquid Sheth, and he was looking at the Viper. So there are some good things out there at the moment, some good resources for checking out what's going on with Heart of the Swarm. Of course, as we can see here, WhiteRa going for the Nexus first into the Forge, and then we'll probably see him grab a gateway quickly as well. So this sort of style is still as same as it was. Effectively, you can still do this kind of thing and it works quite nicely, and it's just sort of all pretty standard here at the moment until the cybernetics core gets up, basically, which is when you'll see the mothership core come out, and that changes things a little bit. And we'll have to see if WhiteRa is going to take advantage of that. Of course, for Zerg, still nothing major has changed. And of course, given that this is just an expansion that's going to be coming out, there aren't massive sort of things that change in the way the game is played. So as we can see, Sheth has taken his natural expansion down there. It looks as if he is going to head across and take the third base as well, upon seeing that his opponent has taken his Nexus very quickly. So everything from this perspective, if you're a Zerg player, you see all of this and you think, alright, that's cool, I know what's going on. If you're a Protoss player and you come down and scout this sort of stuff, which WhiteRa has, he did get a probe down and did see the natural, but hasn't actually seen too much else. But you're still going to look at things that are going on and say, alright, we're all cool here. Now, as we can see, it looks as if Sheth is just going to take a quick look through. You can see that there is a cannon just protecting the most of the Nexus there, but not too much of the mineral line. And now it looks like Sheth is going to try and do a little bit of a run by here. There is a little bit of space here. What is WhiteRa going to do? He's going to put a pylon up and then put the probe in position to hold back the Lings. Of course, the Lings need to sort of get to about this position before they can run up the ramp, so they are a little bit stuck right now. As we can see, they're just going to sort of sit here and, they're just going to chill. There's nothing too fancy going on, so they're not too worried. But here comes the Zealot. He's going to clean up those Lings and push them out for now. So, looks like we do not have the mothership core started just yet. WhiteRa wants to get a stalker out, perhaps going to try and put some pressure on Sheth before he can get too much dronage going on. And as we can see at the moment, Sheth doing his own droning just at the moment, getting a lot of drones out. 8 on the way at the moment, a couple hatching now, also starting the creep spread down towards the third base, which still, of course, is an incredibly sort of useful skill to have when you are trying to get your bases established. You want to try and make sure there is creep spread all along the back path here to get down to your third. Now, in terms of this map, we'll just have a quick look at some of the features of the map. There is a collapsible rock tower at the third base, which will drop down some destructible rocks here on the ramp, and that means that you have to see this starts with 500 health, so you can actually knock that down reasonably quickly, which is pretty good for Zerg players especially. You can just use a few Lings and knock that down. puts down a normal type of destructible rocks there, which blocks off the ramp and has, what is it, 2000 HP or something like that. So that is an interesting feature here. It allows you to take a third base very quickly, and we may see WhiteRa go for one very quickly. I wouldn't be surprised if we saw that. But here is the mothership core. That is out the shiny disco ball, as I like to call it. You can see got all the sort of the basic fundamentals of that mothership core, of the actual real mothership, just sort of set up there, and it looks like a robo facility is also going down. So WhiteRa just having a little bit of a poke out, a Stalker just having a quick hello here, and another one was just inside the third base. Got to see what was going on, but of course doesn't really get too much damage done, because this is a point where you got to be a little bit worried about, are those lings going to have speed? Of course, from about 7 minutes onwards, you just got to be a little bit wary of what's going on with the speed for those lings, so your Stalkers can't venture too far out, because they could get caught, and even losing just 1 or 2 Stalkers at the start of the game is not the best sort of situation to start off with. You may need them for roaches later on or something to that effect. Meanwhile, for WhiteRa, we've now got his third base starting up across to the side here. A couple of sentries just coming out to shine their flashlights at the collapsible rock tower. As you can see, it does go down quite quickly, so that's just going to drop down those rocks in a second. Do keep in mind, any units that are caught on the ramp where the rocks land actually get destroyed. I'm sure everyone would have seen the video of Destiny using the destructible rocks on in his defense one time, and that went up on YouTube. That was really cool. If you haven't seen it, you should really go and check it out. It was actually quite clever. But now we can see a lot of lings are out here for Sheth. The ling speed is not even done yet. It's only halfway done. However, there is only one Stalker here. The rest of the units were across to the side. Of course, we've got some Zealots here. Sentries as well, but the sentries are not going to arrive in time. Looks as if the lings will get inside. Will their speed complete to make them completely annoying? I think it may. They're just going to sort of try and get in here and lock down some of those probes that are trying to run away, but they don't get too many kills here. As we can see, only 2 worker kills so far, 3, maybe a 4th. He may be able to poke around and get another one. There is one probe just having a quick run around there, but it is going to escape, and it looks like there is not going to be too much more done here by WhiteRa, by Sheth, I should say. And meanwhile, behind all of this, Sheth taking up, he's got his +1 to both types of attack, missile and melee. Also, we've got the infestation pit done. As you can see here, we've got the upgrades for enduring locust, increasing the locust time. If you're wondering what a locust is, that's the little Hydra sort of unit that pops out of the swarm host. We may see Sheth grab a couple of those, but of course, he's been doing really well with his Viper usage across all of his matchups, so we'll have to see if he's going to go for that, and I think he will. Meanwhile, speaking of going for things, WhiteRa bringing a Prism in, which he is well known for, of course. He's going to drop down some Zealots here. Looks as if they are going to have a few shots. They do have +1 on their weapons, so they'll clean up some of these drones quite quickly, but in fact, they get surrounded by drones, and then the drones move away. I did like that. It meant that the Warp Prism was not really going to get too much damage done, but he does drop down to the natural, putting down some more Zealots here, but he gets taken out very quickly. The Queens, with their own +1 weapons, are actually, they just destroyed that Warp Prism very quickly. But as you can see here for WhiteRa, tech is on the way. Twilight Council Robo Bay is already done, researching extended thermal lance, so we'll probably see, yeah, looks as if, whoa, okay, he cancelled it. I thought he was going to go 3 Robo. That was going to be awesome. But no, he's going to switch it up and just go for the second robotic spay. He's going to start getting those Colossus out. As we mentioned earlier on in the game, it's not as if the sort of main sort of units that you would use in an army have changed too much. Of course, you will see the odd ones thrown out there every now and then. Like sometimes a player will use an Oracle to lock down some minerals. Oh, I totally forgot to mention this. This replay is actually just before the patch that added in carriers and changed a couple of other things, so do keep that in mind. So if Tempests come out, they will have the full long range, which they can get with that upgrade, and of course the Oracles, if they come out a little bit later on, which I doubt, because it looks like WhiteRa is going to just stick with a big Colossus style play, is the Oracles won't have phase shield. But anyway, we've got some lings just poking at the rocks here. There are those the collapsible rock tower debris Sorry, I was just sort of getting my tongue wrapped around that one, but it does have the 2,000 health, as you can see. But just looking at the economy for Sheth, he's looking very, very nice here. 93 drones, of course, perhaps a tiny bit over where you would want it, but he's definitely going to have a lot of minerals coming in with the 4th and 5th base now done, as we can see here. It's sort of the 4th base is where, especially with Protoss and with Terran, when you start extending yourself across to this side of the map here, or perhaps if you want to take this little base just here, that's when you start sort of extending your lines, and you have to get a little bit worried about where you position things. So you have to be very careful with when you take that 4th base if you do get to that particular part of the game. But meanwhile, as we can see, Sheth really getting out quite a lot of those lings here. He's also got a few infestors out. They've got their neural parasite and of course the pathogen gland, so they've got that extra energy there. And now we've got some Vipers coming out. As you can see, these guys are effectively they're a very controlling unit when they come out. And as we can see, Sheth has actually got these hatches here. Now you're wondering, what are these hatches for? These are, I don't know what we've called them yet. I don't know if there is an official term just yet, but these are like just sort of charge up hatcheries, which Sheth has been using to get to use the consume skill. If you play Brood War, you would be aware of consume. The Defilers had that. You'd use some lings to sort of grab some extra energy for these for the Defilers, so they could use Dark Swarm and that kind of thing, and Plague and all that kind of cool stuff. But in Heart of the Swarm, you can use the Vipers to consume a building, and in which case, of course, the hatchery is a good target to start with. It's got a lot of health and regens all over the place as well. Not to mention, it's very cheap. It only costs 300 minerals, so you can really get these Vipers charged up straight away, so they can be useful straight out of the gate. And as we can see, looks as if a battle may commence here at WhiteRa's attempted 4th base. As we can see, looks as if the Blinkstalkers jump on top of the Infestors and the Vipers, but 2 Abducts bringing 2 of the Colossus across, and then a Neural Parasite on top of the Colossus, bringing in that extra firepower for the Zerg forces. I'm not sure if it's enough, though. The Infestors and the rest of the units not really doing enough damage there. He did clean up quite a lot of WhiteRa's forces, but unfortunately, with a lot of the Colossus still alive, we've still got 4 on the field, and of course 2 on the way, given that he does have the double robo. WhiteRa is easily able to win that battle, and he puts Sheth in a very interesting position, because of course Sheth is now sitting here with these 5 bases. He's got a lot of Ultralisks coming out. Now they of course do have that extra little upgrade, which we can see it hasn't been researched yet. They've got a burrow charge, which enables them to sort of burrow and then charge up to their enemy. I suppose it's sort of self-explanatory, but it really helps out with dealing with some of those units if they get in the way. You can sort of just burrow onto a target and then kill it as quickly as you can. But of course, with the extra upgrades coming out now, +3 to Carapace for the Zerg units, and a +3 to melee, the extra plating for the Ultras as well. Now it looks like Sheth has finally busted down the destructible rocks over here, but he was suffering an attack over here at the 4th base. The Lings have cleaned that up now, but there is a secondary attack at the 5th base, what is effectively the 5th base. And now it looks like the Ultras are going to come along, and you need to be careful with those. You can't really just sort of charge into this sort of big force without some fungals to help out. Now there is an Infestor out. Have we got any more? No, we don't. We've only got 2 Vipers able to come and help out with this attack, but here we go. Looks like the Ultras are going to try and split up a little bit, going to soak up a little less damage, but there are not enough of them to proceed further here, and it looks like Sheth is just going to have to retreat for the moment. He's got a lot of Lings out. Where are those extra Infestors? We need to see some more of those, I would say. But with Ultras, they're going to have 5-3 very soon. That's going to be a lot for WhiteRa to deal with. He may need to switch over, get a couple of Immortals out, of course, doing their bonus damage to armored units, but he is going to lose the minerals here at the primary base, and then the natural is also just about done. The 3rd looking good, of course, and the 4th, which has only just been established, has been, that's of course flooded with minerals at the moment. Now, the mothership is out. Now, of course, pre-patch, the recent patch that just came out a couple of days ago, where carriers re-arrived, mothership cores, if they had full energy and you upgraded them into the mothership, you would start with 200 energy on the mothership, which would of course allow you to use 2 vortexes just straight off the bat, which is of course something very deadly for Zerg to deal with. But it looks like Sheth is going to do a little bit of a multi-pronged attack here. We've got some Lings with their 2-2, almost 3-3, just pushing into the 3rd base of WhiteRa. Meanwhile, WhiteRa has cleaned up the 4th and now the third base of Sheth, but Sheth is doing his own cleaning. He's going to recall the unit straight back on top of the Ultralisk, cloaking the Nexus to keep that alive, and he is going to clean up quite a lot of these Ultras. There is no Overseer here to protect the units and, of course, give vision on what is going on, but looks like some of the Lings were finally cleaned up inside that third base of WhiteRa, but WhiteRa has done quite a lot of damage. The fourth has been destroyed, the third has also been destroyed, and it looks like one lonely infestor is still sitting down here being attacked and harassed by some of those zealots that are still alive, but WhiteRa now looks like he will try and go in for the kill. He's got still a bit of it. Where did that, did we lose the mothership? Where is it? There she is. She's still got enough energy for another Vortex. Now, this was a big thing before that patch, which I am, even as a Protoss, I'm actually kind of glad they patched that. It was a little bit ridiculous to just suddenly show up with a 200 energy mothership, which just, of course, is one of the key features of winning the game as Protoss when you are playing against the Zerg. You got to be able to lock down some of those units. Of course, you got to be able to lock down these big boys of the Ultras, and then, of course, if you can get rid of some of these caster units like the Vipers, like the Infestors, and that kind of thing, that can really help out with proceeding on with the victory in late game. Now, as we can see, some more consume is going on here for Sheth. He's going to charge up these Vipers, getting all their extra energy out. The hatchery is actually getting low, of course, which is a little bit of a problem. But, of course, when you've got these extra hatcheries just up to the side, it's not really too much of an issue. And now WhiteRa, with his 103 upgrades, a little bit behind on the armor upgrades. I'm a little bit surprised about that. He's going to push into what used to be the fourth base, or the fifth base, I should say. And now we've got a big battle going on. Some Abducts pulling the Archons out of the battle, but back actually right into the middle of the Zerg forces. And now, as we can see, there are some really hungry Ultras just chomping through all of those Archons there, getting rid of them, of most of that force. But as we can see, a lot of it was recalled back to WhiteRa's fourth base. So he is going to just continually just sort of harass. He's going to drop down and just sort of downsize some of these units that Sheth has available. And as we can see, the Observer's keeping an eye on what's going on. They can see where every single little thing is happening here for Sheth. Sheth, meanwhile, is really struggling with his income. He's just sitting on a lowly 56 harvesters from where he was before on a 400 mineral income. So he's got to make a move and make it a very good one, because if he doesn't get a good battle here, he is going to be in big trouble. As we can see, looks like the Gravity Sling is being upgraded for the Tempest, so we're going to see a couple of those guys out. Of course, the Tempest, before the patch that just recently came out, were a good unit to have for putting a timer on your opponent, which personally I don't think is a like sort of the way that Protoss likes to play, by just sitting back and sort of just saying, I'm shooting you from long range, come at me, bro. It's more of a thing that Terrans would do, so I'm actually kind of glad with the latest patch that changed that. But here we go. It looks as if Sheth is just going to start up with that battle. A couple of feedbacks going down, taking care of some of those Infestors. Also, a couple of those Overseers and a Tempest being abducted into the middle of the battle. A little bit ironic that unit got pulled right on top of everything, considering it has that huge range. But Sheth, GG's out, and WhiteRa is victorious here with that Archon, Colossus, and the Mothership army that, of course, still in Heart of the Swarm is a great way to play Protoss in PvZ. So, well done to WhiteRa. Unfortunate for Sheth that he did go down in this one. Of course, you can see some more replays of the Team Liquid guys over on teamliquidpro.com, and I'll bring some more replays to you from Heart of the Swarm very soon. Cheers.